A city burning. Armed men roaming the streets. Foreign diplomatic missions attacked. And widespread protests. These are the wrenching visuals coming out of the heart of Africa, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They tell a story that mirrors the high-stakes geopolitical struggles unfolding in other parts of the world. A conflict over power, territory, and resources that's escalating in ways that could have far-reaching consequences. The M23 rebel group, an armed faction with a long history of conflict, has seized control of Goma, one of the largest cities in the DRC, with a population of over 1 million people. Its swift advance has left the country and the region in chaos. For over 3 decades, the eastern region of the DRC has been ravaged by war. It's a conflict that began in the aftermath of the 1994 Rwandan genocide, when ethnic tensions spilled over into neighboring countries. Since then, armed groups have vied for control of the DRC's mineral-rich lands, with devastating consequences for millions of civilians. The humanitarian crisis that has followed the M23's advance is nothing short of catastrophic. Hospitals in Goma are overwhelmed. Casualties are mounting, and thousands of civilians are fleeing their homes. According to latest reports, more than 200,000 people have been displaced. Streets in Goma are lined with bodies. The city's infrastructure is on the brink of collapse. The M23, whose name originates from a peace agreement signed in 2009, is not a new player in this conflict. The group, led by ethnic Tutsis, has been fighting for years, claiming that they need to protect their rights. They argue that past agreements meant to end the fighting have been broken, leaving them with no choice but to take up arms once again. The M23 first seized Goma in 2012, before being forced out by a joint force of the DRC army and UN peacekeepers. But after years of relative calm, the group re-emerged in 2021, claiming that the promises made to protect the Tutsi community had been betrayed. And this year, they're back with a vengeance.
I'm a refugee going back to Congo from Rwanda. I fled because of all the bombing, shooting, and all the killings that were happening. We made a choice to flee into Rwanda, where we were welcomed very well, and I would like to really appreciate them.
We fled across the border because of the conflict. But now that they have told us that peace has returned, my 8 children and I are all going back.
It's a complex web of political, ethnic, and economic interests involving neighboring countries, most notably Rwanda. Rwanda's involvement in the conflict has long been a subject of controversy. While Rwanda officially denies supporting the M23, multiple UN reports have accused the Rwandan government of providing the group with weapons, logistics, and even military support. The DRC government, as well as the US and France, have also pointed an accusing finger at Rwanda.
There has to be a question about Rwanda, and it is a very serious problem. I agree.
The French president has clearly stated our position to the Rwandan president and the foreign minister, who is currently touring the region and is in Congo, and who will then go to Rwanda, will reiterate this position and ask President Kagame for the complete withdrawal of the M23 troops and the Rwandan troops who are currently present on the soil of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
A UN report revealed that as many as 4,000 Rwandan troops had fought alongside the M23 rebels. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa says that his country has lost 13 of its soldiers in the DRC because of the fighting between the M23 rebels and the Rwandan forces. He says his troops will remain in the DRC to bring stability, not as a declaration of war. Rwanda, however, maintains that the fighting along its border poses a direct threat to its national security and territorial integrity. In a statement released just this past week, President Paul Kagame's government called the accusations unfair, blaming the DRC authorities for refusing to engage in dialogue with the M23.
He's also there pretending to be playing a peacemaker role, and he has a force that has been fighting alongside FDLR and has been fighting the M23 on the instructions of Tshisekedi, because these are people who are not supposed to be in Congo. that these are from Rwanda or the M23 are not Rwandans, please.
Now Goma is no ordinary city. Located on the shores of Lake Kivu, it's a vast trade and transport hub, connecting the DRC to its neighbors, especially Rwanda. But it's more than just a city. It's a gateway to the region's vast mineral wealth. Gold, tin, and coltan. These precious metals are in high demand globally. They are used in everything from mobile phones to electric vehicle batteries. The control of these resources means power. And that's exactly what the M23 rebels are after. So their claim to Goma is not just about land, it's about control of the DRC's valuable mineral resources. To understand the origins of this conflict, one needs to go back more than 30 years. In 1994, the genocide in Rwanda claimed the lives of nearly 800,000 people, mostly Tutsis, at the hands of ethnic Hutu extremists. The genocide ended with the intervention of the Tutsi-led forces. An estimated 1 million Hutus fled to neighboring countries, including the DRC. This mass displacement stoked ethnic tensions in the region, especially in the eastern part of the DRC, where a Tutsi minority group known as the Banyamulenge began to feel increasingly threatened. Rwanda's army intervened in the DRC twice, in the late 90s and early 2000s, claiming that it was pursuing genocidal militias responsible for the slaughter of Tutsis in Rwanda. But those interventions left a legacy of conflict that continues to this day, with Rwanda's government accusing the DRC of harboring the democratic forces. Rwanda in particular has been accused of exploiting the conflict to loot the DRC's minerals, with reports suggesting that Rwanda's mineral exports have surged in recent years. Exports that are believed to come from areas controlled by the M23. A UN report from December 2024 revealed that M23 has been smuggling large quantities of coltan, around 120 tons every 4 weeks, out of the DRC and into Rwanda. The UN peacekeeping mission, MONUSCO, has been in the DRC since 1999, and its forces have been involved in fighting rebel groups for years. But despite the presence of more than 10,000 peacekeepers, the situation on the ground has only worsened.
We have taken important diplomatic steps, notably within the United Nations Security Council, as well as within the Rwanda peace process, to which we remain fully committed despite the obstacles. We favor the path of dialogue, but always with lucidity, while remaining firmly resolved to defend our territory and our sovereignty by any means necessary.
We are deeply concerned by the situation in South Kivu, particularly, which remains very volatile, with credible reports that the M23 is moving rapidly towards the city of Bukavu. In addition, our colleagues in the peacekeeping mission say that there are reports of Rwandan defense forces cross-border movements in that direction.
And now a new player is entering the scene. The government of Turkey has offered to mediate between Rwanda and the DRC, with President Erdogan suggesting that Turkey could help bring peace to the region. But given the complexity of the situation and the competing interests at play, it remains to be seen whether this will lead to any real breakthrough. As the battle for Goma rages on, one thing is clear. It is not just a conflict between two nations. It's a struggle over resources, power, and influence in one of the most mineral-rich regions of the world. It is a battle that could spill over, threatening regional stability and drawing in global powers. So what does the future hold for Goma, for the DRC, and for the millions of people caught in the middle of this deadly struggle? Will the international community step in with a meaningful response, or will this conflict become yet another forgotten war, one that continues to rage in the shadows of global politics? Ragini Sudhir Chore for DD India.